TikTok wasn't coming on for some reason. The devil's a liar. I'm going to tell this story. I don't care what he says. Listen, you guys, I've got a lot of references I want to share with you. I won't be before you long. I want to share this with you because it's really important to me that I tell you about how I feel and what I've been feeling for the last few months. I'm coming to you from my Make It Glorious page, which is my Facebook page. I'm coming to you from my TikTok page, Comforting Glow Chronicles. I'm coming to you from Glow, my family Facebook page. I want you all to come in and listen to what I have to say because it's very important. And I did a lot of research on what I'm going to talk about. And I want to just share with you, and I won't be long, I promise you. But I'm going to get started. I still people are still coming in. Thank you for coming in, you guys. I appreciate it. I'm going to start by saying, hey people, this is Glow, Make It Glorious and Comforting Glow Chronicles. I'm touching all my social media platforms because this message I have is very important to me and it hits home with me personally. So please tap your screen. Let me know that you're there. I can see my viewers. Make sure you click share and share this video because it's really important. I mean, this live is really important, and I'm going to keep it up for at least 30 more days and keep playing it back over and over again. So, my pastor, Todd, at Zion Missionary Baptist Church, made this statement before getting deep into this subject. He said, this is sensitive, but it has to be talked about. So let's talk. It's about mental health and our mental anguish. And it's really important. So I'm coming from the book of Psalms 22, when David was crying out to the Lord. And I'm going to read it. King James Version. It says, my God, why hast thou forsaken me? Why hast thou so far from helping me? And from the words of my roaring. He was roaring, he was yelling, he was upset, he was crying. He said, oh my God, I cry in the daytime, thou'st not hear me. And in the night season, I'm still not silent. He says, I'm going to paraphrase. He says, you helped the Israelites. You saved them. Why don't you help me? Why can't you hear me? You have to read Psalms 22 in its entirety because it's really, really deep. And he does cry out to the Lord, and he does sound very, very angry in his voice. He was very upset with him. Somebody's trying to come in, but I'm gonna not let them come in right now because the last time that somebody come in, they kind of overrode my TikTok and then what heard anything that I had to say. So I'm going to not let that person in right now, but I'll probably let them in towards the end of the message. Listen, mental anguish and mental health was prominent in the Bible. Many suffered. They had destruction, devastation, wars, plagues. They lost cities. They lost lives. It was like really, really hard for them. So I know that it was tough back in those days, but these days we have help. Mental health today is prominent in our lives and in our communities, but we don't talk about it. But we need to talk about it. It's not a taboo. We walk around and we act as though everything is okay. We don't want to talk about it. We don't want anybody to know our business. So we keep things to ourselves. But we have to start being honest with one another. We have to start talking about mental anguish and our mental anguish and what it's doing to us. Okay, we have to. If you don't do it, then you're going to suffer tremendously for no reason. Multicolored people were taught to suck it up. Don't talk about it. Don't talk about your feelings. Keep your grief to yourself. Nobody want to hear that. That's what was told to me. So when you express yourself, or tell how you're feeling, we are looked upon as weak, like we don't believe in God, like, we're just crying for no reason, and we need this mosquito keeps bothering me, and we need to just suck it up. But that's okay. We're going to still go through what we're going to go through, but we still got to talk about it too. I have a lot of things I want to talk about. Actually, I got a lot of references. I'm going to read. Does it ever seem as if God has forgotten about you? Do you ever feel overlooked, abandoned, or unimportant? In seasons of suffering, it's easy to think that He doesn't care about you and what you're going through. Today's passage, however, directly challenges the assumption that pain and hardships are indications that God is absent. And that's not true. God is not absent. But sometimes I guess we do feel like that, and it's okay. So, women walk around with a stone face and they don't want to show their emotion, and they're all hard, and a lot of guys won't even approach us when we act like that. And men, y'all walk around, thump your chest. I'm a man, and a real man don't cry. Yes, He does. God made tears for a reason. He made tears so that we can self-cleanse. It's a cleansing process. That's why we cry. We cry to cleanse ourselves, to make ourselves feel better, to pour out of ourselves. That's why we cry. My pastor was honest enough to say we get spiritually superficial about not being able to admit how we feel. And that's so true. We give each other little pat answers like, oh, girl, it's going to be okay, or we just pray about it, or it'll be all right, and trust in God, and keep the faith, and don't let the enemy win. Y'all know what I'm talking about. We all say it. But at the time that we're going through our suffering, nobody takes you by the hand or me by the hand and pray with me right then and right there to show me that you have compassion for what I'm going through. It's amazing, but it happens. Not just that, but when you grieve, your spirit grieves too. Yes, the spirit does grieve right along with you. And we don't want our spirit to grieve, but we don't know how to stop that emotion, because that's just a part of a human emotion that we're feeling. When I was broken, those words that they said to me fell on deaf ears. I didn't want to hear it. I didn't want to receive it. My antenna was down. I wasn't getting it. I didn't want to hear it. So my dad's a Pentecostal minister, and my grandma and grandpa were Baptist deacons and mothers of the church. So I'm called Baptist-costal. I've been, growing up both ways, so I know both ways. And I remember back in the day, they would throw a sheet over you. They would call it an ugly sheet. And they would pray, and they would tarry, and they would cry over you. And you would do that too within yourself, because you're covered. So you can get ugly. That's why I call it the ugly sheet. I miss those days. Just throw a sheet over you and just pour out to God. I really miss that. I think they should bring that back into the churches, and so that we don't feel so inclined to look pretty all the time and not mess up our makeup and all the things that we think about when we're crying and when we're praising God. So listen, God is want to tell you something. He wants to tell you that there is something for you. There's help for you. That's why God, blessed people as doctors and therapists and comfort providers. They are all blessed to help you. It's okay to not be okay. That's my subject for today. It's okay to not be okay. And we have to understand that. You can't always be 100% up all the time. I would think you're crazy. You walk around here smiling and grinning and not showing any emotion. Something's wrong when you act like that. So listen, I want you guys to use God's gifts that He gave you. The Bible says He's given us all at least one gift. And I know that he's gifted the doctors and the therapists and the counselors and all these people to help you. Also, I want to tell you something. It's okay to tell God how you feel. God can handle it. God can handle your anger, your mean words, your hurt, your pain. There's nothing that God can't handle. So just tell him how you feel. Just say, God, I'm mad. I'm upset with you. You didn't do this and you didn't do that. You know how we do. Just started blaming. I've yelled at God myself. To be honest, I was mad at God for my suffering in my life and what I was going through, homelessness and foster and not having people in my life to take care of me. I was mad at God. I yelled at God too. And I want you to know that God doesn't care about your yelling and your screaming and your crying and all these emotions that human beings go through, because he made us. He knows our emotions. He knows who we are. He knows what we're capable of. So I say, please don't hold your emotions in. God wants to hear from you. Listen, David started talking about what God didn't do for him in Psalms 22. But then in Psalms 23, he starts praising God and telling God how wonderful he is. Psalms 23, the Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He makes me lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside the still waters. He restores my soul. See, he started talking to God and started saying positive things about what God has said to him and what God has promised him. And I do the same thing too. I have to start speaking things into my existence. I got to start saying what God has done for me. He said he would never leave me or forsake me. He said he would never leave a seed begging bread. He said, cast your yoke upon me, for he cares for me. He said, I will help the broken and the downtrodden. Come on, y'all. I started speaking that stuff into existence and started speaking it into my life and started speaking positive and started speaking life and not death into my situation, and things started to change for me. So I want you to know that it's okay to not be okay. It's okay to cry out to God. It's okay to seek help. Find somebody that you can talk to. As a matter of fact, I found a Christian therapist. I found a counselor, agape counselor. And agape means, I'm going to read it to you. Agape means deep and unconditional love for a person without expectations. They talk to you about your situation with love, spiritual compassion. There's got to be an agape counselor or center near you. If you don't want to talk to a regular counselor, like, the kind that you lay on the couch and just, he listens to you, and then a half an hour later you get up and you don't feel any better. Find an agape counselor. I did, and it changed my life. I'm telling you. So you my life and what I've gone through, I want you to go to my website, comfortinggloria.life. It comes in Google. I've got a Google domain. You can Google it, or you can go straight to the site if you put it in your search engine, and just read about the book and see what it's about. Go to my book section of my website, and it gives you a short synopsis of my testimony and what I've gone through and what I've endured and what I have, how can I put it, what I have overcome. Because I'm an overcomer now. I'm a survivor of all of my pain and suffering. I'm living proof that God will answer you. I'm living proof that you speak life and life will appear. I promise you. This is Comforting Glow. Thank you so much for listening to my message, and I'll talk to you soon. Love you. Bye.